And good evening, viewers. I'm Bolakom, your former South Sudan Diplomatic Communications Officer, Washington, D.C., New York, and Juba. Here to summarize the three events of the week, so to speak, and kind of share my thought with the rest of you, the South Sudanese. Again, welcome on board wherever you're joining me from, whether you're from Australia, Canada, here in the United States, or you're watching me in Juba. Welcome on board on weekly analysis of events shaping our understanding in the motherland. The week actually began with a lot of very interesting things from last week to this week, where we are heading toward Friday. At first, I want to send my heartfelt to the community of Dupadiet, where I come from, the family and friends of Brigadier General Willie Akech Dot, who happened to be my uncle at the same time, who passed a week earlier on Saturday. And it has been a great tragic to the community of Dupadiet, and also a tragic to the South Sudanese community in general. We'll miss him. His shoes will never be fulfilled by any one of us, and we'll continue to carry on the chapters that he has not been able to fulfill. My heart condolence also goes to the community of Madinga Will. Once again, Madinga Will has been target of political assassinations by the ongoing political debate, and I believe the community of Awil will come out of this. Last week we had a tragic loss of a young boy called Ayok, and to this day justice has not been served. Died in the hand of brother-in-law to the president, Gerald Gorgori, who happened to order his bodyguard to go and shoot on innocent South Sudanese. So, and then we had the events in Jebel Iraq, right across the street from Juba, where innocent community of Madinga Will were massacred in broad daylight for absolutely no reason. They were not opposition, they were just citizens minding their own personal life, and then they were gunned down, and then like nothing happened again. In any normal world, it should be a huge, grave concern to the country, and the president should supposed to speak greatly about the event that are shaping the country, security, and the death of innocent. Well, on top of the three events that I've mentioned, also South Sudanese community in general across the globe felt shocked and disappointed, and not surprised hearing Gerald Kwalmanyang, a man I have highly respect of, a man that I grew up watching and wishing to be like him as a child. He has been always my role model. Watching Gerald Kwalmanyang suggesting that the South Sudanese youth, or South Sudanese in general, some of the most laziest people. All they ever want is just to eat and don't want to work. And he provided an example of there are frogs and lizards that are also food that some of us can eat. Yet, in hypocrite way, he forget to mention that he himself has never ate some of those type of food he wanted the South Sudanese community to eat. He also forgot to mention that it is people like him and Salva Kiir Mayardit and the regime itself that don't see what is wrong with South Sudan. The only thing that they see what is wrong with South Sudanese is the noise that the South Sudanese communities are making. To answer directly to a man that I highly respect, a man that I call my role model, Gerald Kwalmanyang. I guess you have forgotten to believe that when men of your generation took up arms, they did not took up arms to enrich themselves at the expense of other people's suffering. They took up arms to free us from the bondage of injustice of Khartoum, and they took arms to free us from marginalizations and tribal sentiment that consumed the political of Sudan, that created about division of us walking away during referendum and independence, Mr. Kwalmanyang, if I must remind you on that specific note. Again, South Sudanese are not lazy. They just never been given opportunities. They look up to you, Kwalmanyang, the president, and the people of South Sudan, and the leaders in the South Sudan government, to provide them one thing only that they seriously deserve: security, respect, and the rule of law that doesn't only favor criminals and punish innocent. In South Sudan, it's not about laziness, it's just lack of opportunity, point blank. Since the inception of independence to the present, the country has lived through transition. And must I also remind Mr. Kwalmanyang that it has been almost 21 years. You and Salva Kiir and other leaders have been in the government. Question is, in that 21 years, the only thing that you have done, and Salva Kiir and leaders around you, is to continue to enrich yourself at the expense of the poor. You misappropriate the gold of South Sudan. You misappropriate the oil of South Sudan. You have not built even a single infrastructure. Hospitals are ruined, are in shambles, ruined, complete. Education is zero to nothing. Transportation failed. Military formation failed. So I guess you should not be the one to lecture us, the South Sudanese citizen, that we are the problem. You should be looking at the mirror, Mr. Kwalmanyang, and address what you see in front of you as an injustice toward the people of South Sudan. And history will remember people like you, people like Kir Mayar, as men who actually stabbed their own people at the back. Instead of creating opportunities for young men to be able to go back to work, to raise their families, you've made situation in the country so difficult. I guess the only youth that are hardworking youth, in according to Kwalmanyang and Salva Kiir views, are their children. No wonder why each one of the leaders from Kwalmanyang, they all hired their own family members. What about those who don't have family members in the government? Where do they go? Oh, I forgot, you call them jealous people. They're jealous because of your success. They're jealous because of what you and Salva Kiir had been able to achieve. If I must remind Kwalmanyang and Salva Kiir, every achievement that you claim to be yours was a contribution of South Sudanese blood and sweat and resources that you misappropriate for personal gain and personal interest. So you should not be so proud of yourself suggesting that you have had achieved anything in South Sudan. If I can recall, there's nothing personal that you have achieved that you could go and be so proud of, Ben Kwalmanyang. So that's one observation coming from Kwalmanyang. The other observation was coming from another gentleman that I truly respect, someone that I look up to in academic world, Dr. Mojang Agot, who suggested that the young people are the one corrupting the country. Well, if I can recall, there are no young leaders in the government of South Sudan. There are only elders, people like Kir Mayadit, yourself, Kwalmanyang, Makwanuluet, Mama Nyanengdit, and the list goes on. These are not young children. These are not young children corrupting. These are not youth corrupting the system. Youth are now the defense force of South Sudan, who would go month and month without salary. They're not corrupt. They're just looking for the same opportunities that each one of you, the so-called leaders, enjoy. The same liberty that you and your friends enjoy are the same liberty all of us are looking for. So to suggest that the youth are corrupt, I don't see what exactly youth created corruption of. Number one, they have not been given any opportunity whatsoever, either in the civil service or in the rebuilding of the country infrastructure. If resources of the country were used to empower the youth, 85% of South Sudanese are men from the age of 15 to the age of 50. We are some of the most strongest young men and women in the country. We are the youngest nation. South Sudanese by nature, they are not lazy people. They are people who only ask their government to provide one thing: security and opportunity for all, where you don't feel excluded. You should always feel included in the part of the process. So for Dr. Majang Agot to suggest that somehow the youth of South Sudan are the one creating corruption, it just defeats the whole entire purpose. It kind of reminds me of Hyena story, that when Hyena failed to blame anybody, he will always blame his cub, that they began to smell like goats, so that he will have a reason to eat them. So this is what Dr. Majak actually made us to believe, that we, the youth of South Sudan, we are the problem. We are the problem because in this context, we had not been able just to bend to the will of the leaders. We have not been able to bend to the will of the leaders, so that they can use us, abuse us, call us whatever name, and we just suck it up because we are still young. If I can remind Dr. Majang Agot and the rest of the leaders in the country, John Garang was 36 years old when he became a founder of the liberation movement. Some of us, Polakum, we are almost in our 50s. So it defeats the argument to continue to call us a bunch of boys that need more time to be educated on issues. We know the issues. We went to school over here. We had the opportunity to experience Western democracy, Western views of nation building. So you're either preaching to wrong youth, or if you are preaching to us, the academic society, you seriously need to re-examine your relationship with the academic society, because yourself, you are an academician, Dr. Majang Agot. So, having said that, this confusing time to where everybody would just come up and say whatever frustrated them and refuse to accept the reality. Refuse to accept the reality that the destruction of the country is pretty much square in the hands of our leaders. Lack of leadership, lack of wisdom, and lack of political will to be able to bridge the gap between the society views and the government views. Government seem to be out of touch. Government seem, according to Ezekiel Olgar quote, it should be a small group of people whose agenda is only to loot public resources for their own individual gain. That's exactly what Ezekiel Olgar quote said. Although he went on to suggest he misspoken But the whole picture is out there, and this is what we have seen of South Sudan government from its inception. It has not been a South Sudan government that has provided a roadmap to peaceful South Sudanese coexistence. It has not been a government that has stood to ask citizens of South Sudan what kind of country do they want. The concept of a country is what is now being enforced on all of us. You need to keep quiet. Let me eat first. When I'm full, I'll let you know what the direction of the country is. That's the narrative the leaders of South Sudan views of South Sudan as a country. Now, third among the list of things that I had wanted to talk to, now that I got your attention, was this guy called Ezekiel Lol Garkuat. Ezekiel Lol Garkuat, when I met him in Washington, I think in his personal view, he would think that we just met in one of the events in his house. Well, I've known him before referendum, before independence. He was a young politician growing up in Washington, D.C., in the corridors of Washington, New York. And he had worked in the South Sudan Ghost Mission and all that stuff. One thing that actually failed of me to understand of Ezekiel Lol Garkuat is what principle does he stand by? It seemed to me that Ezekiel Lol only stand on principle of personal gain. If it's something that he believes benefit him, he cares less about the principle of the cause. For example, in 2013, when Riek Machar and a group of oppositions, including Mama Nyandeng and G10, protest against Salva Kiir Mayardit, Ezekiel Lol was one among those people who went on to explain himself in the video that I made earlier, that the reason he opposed Salva Kiir Mayardit was because Salva Kiir was a dictator, Salva Kiir was a tribalist, Salva Kiir was a warmonger, and all that stuff. Reverse time, he defected from Riek Machar, joined Taban Dengai, the same narrative. Elected Minister of Petroleum, misappropriate resources of the country, got fired, and recycled back again into the government, now a Minister of Public Service. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. He's a South Sudanese, he deserves any chance there is in the country. But what seemed to be a troubling of Ezekiel Lol Garkuat is how he sees the system, is how he understands how the system works. In his mind, the system is just a game of smart people versus bunch of dumb people. To those of us, the civilian, we are just the dummies that can be taken advantage of. He doesn't care who eat, what road to be built, what not to be done, as long as there are opportunities Ezekiel Lol Garkuat can have. He will go for it. Ezekiel Lol Garkuat would go on to suggest that at this age, in this country where we are, the only thing that matters is who pays you. If somebody is not paying you, then you don't have to waste your time. Instead of advocating for the plight of the poor South Sudanese, his own Nuer community members, right in Unimis camp, inside capital Juba, instead of advocating, he have the nerves to look at this camera in the eyes and say that he created a new tribe called Salva Kiir Mayardit because he's the one that giving him food, he's the one that providing him salaries, And he has forgotten that he's a minister of public service. He's supposed to be serving the public interest, not the interests of the president. His legion is supposed to be the people of South Sudan, not to an individual. The office he holds, Ezekiel Ogarkwath, is the office of the people of South Sudan who deserve service under him. But in the narrative concept of Lolgarkwath, the only thing that matters is who pay your bills and where you're getting your food from. Well, I'll let you decide what you want to believe of who Ezekiel Lolgarkwath is. In summary, these are the people we call our leaders. Leaders who only see nothing wrong in the country, but more than any person that is asking them to see beyond their bellies and their bank account. Please provide service to the people of South Sudan. South Sudanese are some of the most kind people on the face of the earth. But instead, we are bombarded with wars. We are made to hate each other across tribal line as a way to maintain power. It's a way to maintain, as long as there's war and there's chaos in the country, it benefits people like Ezekiel Lolgarkwath in the name of public service. As long as there's chaos and wars in South Sudan, it benefits someone like Salva Kiir Mayar to continue to mislead the country and to continue to oppress the country. And to my people of Madinga, my heart condolence goes to you, and my sympathy goes to innocents who have continued to be victim of a failed government. God of South Sudan will wipe up your tears. God of South Sudan will bring all these criminals, the failed leaders, and the people who created atrocities among the civilians for no justifying reason whatsoever. And I feel to all of us South Sudanese, far and near, justice for a Ayok must be given a due process. Gorgori Basila must provide an answer to the death of this innocent. There's no death that is okay. Every death is painful, and nobody should celebrate anybody else's demise for a personal interest. Gorgori Basila, it's not about justice. He must be brought to justice to provide an answer to the death of this innocent young man. So I will leave you with thought and prayers to continue to pray for the country of South Sudan. Pray for all of us. And we're not enemies of each other. We're just victims of a system that is designed to keep us hating each other, keep us divided, while it allowed the so-called leaders to continue to loot the country and to continue to sell the country for personal gain or personal benefit. We are the only country on the face of the earth where leaders are more comfortable. When they're sick, they fly it out of Juba International Airport, they go to South Africa, they go to Dubai, they go to Nairobi, they go to Kampala. Yet, the average South Sudanese can't even afford to buy a headache medicine. The average South Sudanese is left to die. That's the kind of country we find ourselves in. As much as I hate to come to this emotional conclusion, in my thought, I just hope our brothers in the leadership, those including Salva Kiir Mayardit, Ezekiel Okarpot, Mama Nyanengdip, Taban Dengay, Wana Igat, Uncle Kwalmanyang, Mokwanelwet, and the list goes on, should really re-examine their human heart and open their human eyes to seriously see what is wrong in the country. It is not the people that are the problem. It is you, the leaders, who are the problem. You fail us, and you expect us to pull ourselves up. And no matter how much we try, we are bombarded with a system that is only meant to crush us as the people of South Sudan. Even if a civilian would go ahead and open himself a small shop, you'll be taxed to the point where you'll end up closing your business. And the tax collected revenue goes into individual pocket. It doesn't go into the state. It definitely goes into individual pocket. We have seen it again and again. Internal revenue is nothing but a scam. South Sudan Internal Revenue Authority is nothing but a scam that is built on the pretext that we are collecting tax to be used to build the country. Yet when you see the trail of those tax, you'll find that they are in Canada, they're in Nairobi. All this money goes to Kampala, and all this money are buried in briefcases inside Juba. So the poor citizen who paid their tax with the hope the government was going to provide them security, road, protection, end up with nothing. So that's exactly the kind of country we find ourselves in. And with no shame, they're telling us that we are the one creating the problem, according to the narrative of few leaders, including Majang Agod, including Kwalmanyang, including Ezekiel Ogarkwat. We are jealous of them. We are so jealous of them. We don't want them to succeed. As long as they build their empires at the expense of all of us bleeding and crying, we should not supposed to be talking. We should supposed to be celebrating. Our leaders are successful. That's the mentality we are given to believe. So I'll follow up this conversation in the next few days as tens of events continue to surface, writing daily and weekly news. Thank you so much for always paying attention. Thank you always for taking your time and listening to my analysis of the weekly review of events. This is our country. We'll be here many years to come. The land will be here many generations to come. Some of us, the generals, some of us, the ambassadors, some of us, the head of a state, will live with our time, with our shame, and will go. And the country will still be here for generations to come. So let's continue to hope. God of South Sudan, may He have mercy on all of us. Thank you.